It's about 2:30 on Saturday afternoon, and I thought, seeing as the house was quiet, Mr. Bentley is fast asleep on the settee downstairs. We've just finished watching the Independence Day movie, the last one that's just been made in 2016. I hadn't seen it, so we bought a cheap copy on standard DVD, not Blu-ray or anything, because I didn't really want to invest that much money in it. So I thought, while the house was quiet, I'd have a go at week number 9 for Journal 52, and the prompt is emerge. I don't know if that's the right. Yeah, it is. That's the right way up. Is emerge. So for me, this prompt emerge made me think about emerging intelligence from computers that are getting smarter and smarter, but also how people can sometimes behave in a kind of robotic way and not think about the human aspect of what they're doing. It's so easy to use the old adage as I was just doing my job. And the reason I was thinking about this, I had a telephone call with one of these big companies, and the person working at the other end of the line just kept repeating the same script that they'd been given, like a robot, and there was kind of no emotion there at all. There was no empathy, and it got me thinking that how, instead of making robots that emulate humans, I'd rather have humans that emulate humans, thank you very much, rather than machinery. And rather than humans acting like robots, I'd rather have humans acting like humans. So that's what this page is going to be about. It's going to be about people being robotic and love emerging from hatred. So before I get started on the Art Journal page, this is the ATC sized prompt image that Journal 52 provide, and the prompts on that are also given with the image are emerge, to come forth into view or notice as from concealment or obscurity, to rise up or come forth, to come into existence. Synonyms appear, come up, materialise, rise, emanate and spring, which would be a nice one if you wanted to do a spring-based Art Journal page or project. So the prompt: explore what might be arising for you at this time. Include spring imagery in a spread to represent emergence. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something completely different. I did a spring page for the Mission Inspiration recently, and that's enough for me for now. And Oracle: what is arising for you at this time? What is coming up? What closet do you need to clear out or come out of? A bit late for that for me. And what stories need to be told? So for me, explore what might be arising for you at this time. And what's arising for me at this time is my dislike for people who have no empathy for anybody else other than for themselves or for the company that they work for. So that's what my page is going to be about today. And for my page, I'm going to use, because I'm going to be all about people acting like machines, it's going to be all numbers and typography, and I'm also going to use a limited colour palette. So I'm only going to use blues in my archival links. So I have at my disposal here some blues. So I have cornflower blue, forget-me-not, garden patina, which is kind of a crossover between blue and green, but you'll see why in a moment, hint in the corner here, aquamarine, and cobalt blue, which is a very, very dark one. I'm also going to use some accents with yellow. So I will get some green hues coming in from the blues once this yellow mixes with the blues, hence it's okay to incorporate the garden patina. So there's not going to be too much texture in my page today, because it's going to be with no texture paste. I'm going to be sticking only a couple of bits and pieces down, so it's going to be layers of ink, stenciling, maybe a few splatters, maybe a few doodles. Who knows? Let's just see where it takes us. So the base for this page is a sheet of 8x8 300 GSM or £140 watercolour cardstock. This is Buckingford, which I got from West Designs. And my first colour that I'm going to lay down is the aquamarine archival ink. And I'm just using one of the circular ink blending foams from Tim Holtz and Ranger. So next up I'm going to bring in the green garden patina, which is almost like a jade green, if you like. I'm just going to do exactly the same thing as the aquamarine and just bring that ink in from the sides and just blend that on the watercolour cardstock. The aquamarine and the garden patina colours are quite similar, it's just the garden patina is slightly darker. Next up I'm going to bring in the saffron and add some patches of that beautiful yellow into the sides and into the centre of the page, and obviously where it touches the blues it's going to create some nice warm greens. So next colour is going to be the cornflower blue. This is almost a greyish blue, and again I'm going to use the ink blending foams, and this time I'm going to use the typo stencil from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. So very happy with the placement of the stenciling and the way that it's going through, and as you can see I have started with the lighter colours and I'm working into the darker ones. So next we have the Forget-Me-Not, which is a deeper blue, a more bluey blue if you understand what I mean, rather than a greyish blue, and this time I'm going to use the numbers stencil, which is the big numbers. And I love the way this Forget-Me-Not blue reacts with the colours that are already down there on the page. So next up, to fill in those gaps, I'm going to be using the numeric stencil, again from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous, and the deep cobalt blue. So the idea behind this background was to fill it completely full of numbers and letters, so it gives the impression of an atmosphere which is completely overflowing and full with electronic communication. So time to add my focal point. So this is a retro robot image that I've had in my collage stash for absolutely ages, and I've trimmed it out, making sure I've left a nice white border all the way around, but I've left it all angular. I've not done any rounded lines around the actual robot itself. And I'm just sticking it down using the triangle collage glue stick from Ranger. Now that my robot is stuck down and there's no bubbles or wrinkles or bumps, I'm going to go around the outside of my border using a number 5 Pigma Micron pen from Sakura. This is an archival ink pen. And with it being archival, that means that once it's dry, it's permanent. So I'm just going around the cut edges of my collage piece, and as you can see I'm just adding a few doodle details along the way. So I'm happy with the border around my robot with all my little doodles. So I want to integrate that image into the main background. So I'm bringing out the saffron archival ink and the typo stencil, and I'm just going to add some of that yellow ink through the stencil so that it overlaps the edges of the robot. This helps to anchor your focal point into the background of your page so that it doesn't stand out too much. It becomes more cohesive if you integrate the colours. And as you can see, I'm just blending some of that ink into the image as well. I'm not going to colour the image totally, but I am going to add some colour over the top just so that it blends with the rest of the page. So to continue with adding the colour into my robot, I'm bringing back that garden patina, and I'm just going to add my blending foam back on again, and I'm just going to add some colour just using the foam by rubbing the foam over the top. That just helps to blend in those colours and make it feel more part of the page. Next up is my quote block that I've printed off on my computer, and this is a quote that I found on Pinterest by Mahatma Gandhi, and it reads, "If light can come out of darkness, then alone can love emerge from hatred." I think you could actually swap the word hatred for indifference in this case. You can tell that that person on the other end of that phone line really peed me off. And this is one of the wonderful things about art journals. You can vent your anger into your pages and nobody gets hurt. Again, now that my quote is stuck down, I'm just going to add some of that colour just to blend it into the background of the page, and I'll also bring out one of the stencils and the saffron ink and do the same thing with the quote block that I did with the robot image. I'm just going to use that typo stencil and just lightly add some of those letters through just so that it grounds it and anchors it in place on the page. Now that I'm happy with the stenciling, just popping away that glue stick, and I'm going to grab the Pigma pen again, and this time I'm going to go around the word block. Looking at the page, I decided it needs a border, so using the darkest of those blue inks, which is the cobalt, I'm just going to add a darker border all the way around just by blending some of that ink on the edges of the page. And then looking at the page, I decided that there was a few areas that could do with just filling in with a little bit more detail, so I decided to use the rest of the ink, that cobalt ink that's on the ink blending foam, and just add a few more spots here and there. And because I've got black doodling around my robot and my quote block, my word block, I decided to add some black doodling just to the four corners of the page also. and just adding 1 or 2 last minute touches, and then I think I'm happy. So all that remains to be done is for me to sign it and date it, and then I'm going to call this page complete. So there you have it, my @journal page for week 9 of the Journal 52 prompt for emerge. So it's not necessarily hatred, as the quote from Mahatma Gandhi says, but I suppose indifference and the lack of empathy that we have towards each other as human beings. So I hope that explains my motivations for that page a little bit, but when all said and done, then these pages are created for me to express myself. And if you want to create something different, and that would be absolutely fantastic, and I would love for you to share it and show me exactly how you've expressed your feelings towards or for the word emerge. So that's all from me for now. If you've enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with all your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again very soon. Bye for now.